Is it really hotter in the UK? I mean, does the heat feel different? That's what a lot of people are talking about at the moment. Welcome back to the English Right Now podcast, an English language learning podcast in which we teach you at least 10 new words, 10 new pieces of vocabulary. And we say at least because it's a real conversation with my dear friend Rob. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Roy. That's a bigger hello than yours, isn't it?
Every week we're getting more and more dramatic. Eventually we're going to have like party pop. Oh, no, let's not go that dramatic. But how are you this wonderful week?
Very good, very good. Yes, enjoying. We're having some very hot weather, so that's very appropriate
Yes.
for our conversation today. Very hot weather. So guess what I'm drinking? A nice hot cup of tea.
Cup of tea. Well, it cools you down, doesn't it? That's what they say. A good cup of tea will bring your temperature. I'm not sure I believe this. I hear my granddad used to say this, and I was like, surely a drink with ice in it is going to make you feel better in this heat. But anyway, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the heat. How hot is it where you are?
Well, today is a bit of a scorcher. It's already heading for 30 degrees centigrade. Yeah, scorcher. Do you like that?
I do. That's one of the first pieces of vocabulary, isn't it? It's a scorcher today. You used it as the noun. We quite commonly say it's scorching today. And I think it really is scorching. I mean, down here at the moment, it's getting, I think it's only about 24, 25, maybe 26 degrees around here, but it already feels very, very hot, which brings us on to recently I caught a TikTok video by an American who said the UK heat hits different. It hits different. Would you agree with this?
It probably does. We have our own unique climate, don't we, in the UK? It's worth mentioning, of course, we're moaning, maybe moaning, but we're talking about the heat down here. Obviously, England, Britain is a very big place and stretches up to the north, and they do have different temperatures in different parts of the country. But generally speaking, in the middle and the south where we are having a very hot summer, and I think our heat is quite unique. It hits different, yeah.
It does. It hits different is a bit of sort of current generational slang, which means it impacts in a different way. It kind of has a different effect. So he was saying that the UK heat hits different, that lots of British people have told him this, that he thought it was rubbish, he thought it wasn't true. And now he's here in the UK, and now he's saying, yeah, it is different. It feels horrible. And a couple of like news outlets have picked up on this video. And they started sort of saying why UK heat waves feel so much worse than other countries. We're going to talk about heat waves as well, but I do think it feels different. So let's get it out of the way. Why do you think it feels so different here?
Why is it different? I think the first thing is we're not used to it. So we're not used to this extreme heat that we're getting more often, I think. So therefore, it feels uncomfortable because we're out of our comfort zone, to use the expression. We're out of our comfort zone because we're not in a kind of environment that we're used to. So I think that makes it difficult. And therefore, we're not used to the clothing. The infrastructure that we have in the UK is not used to extreme temperatures, and so it breaks down. You know, trains stop running because it gets too hot and things like that, which is embarrassing.
Leaves on the line in autumn, that stops trains, and the heat stops trains. I'm in a jumper, so I think you've just proven the point. So I'm wearing a jumper and it's hot, but this is kind of my uniform. I'm going to go with that. So yeah, I agree with it. I think we're not prepared, because when I was a kid, I know we could talk about climate change, but it was a lot colder when I was a kid. I don't remember it being so hot. And I remember I live on the Isle of Wight, which is way down south, off the south coast. And in winter, we would get snow. And now we don't. I haven't seen snow for years properly.
No, I agree with you there. And also I remember as a child walking home from school or going to school in the morning and breaking the ice on top of the puddles, because the puddles on the street used to ice over because it got that cold in the winter. I don't remember that more recently, no.
Interesting, you just mentioned breaking the ice, which is a key part of small talk. Now, we're going to talk about small talk in a later podcast, probably in the next podcast. But talking about the weather is a massive part of British small talk. So we love saying when it's too hot, when it's too cold. Which do you prefer, hot or cold?
Oh, I'm hot for me. I love the hot
Really?
weather. Oh, you can't get enough of it within reason. Within reason, you know, if it gets too hot, then it gets very uncomfortable. But no, I like to
Yeah.
spend my life in shorts and t-shirts if I can. I hate the cold weather.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm the other way around. So I basically I always say that if it's cold, you can put on more clothes. But if it's
Hmm.
too hot, you can't remove your skin. This is the kind of weather where I'm starting to feel like I need to start to peel my skin off.
Yeah.
It's awful. You can't cool down, and that's
Yeah.
something I would say about
And I
the
don't want to see
UK.
you naked. I don't want to see you naked. Thank you. So you keep that,
Nobody does.
keep that jumper on.
Nobody does. Nobody does. We can sponsor. We can sponsor this for not that. But anyway, so yeah, and one expression that we use is one of our the second piece of our key vocabulary: sweating buckets. Sweating buckets. So
Mm.
when we're sweating buckets, it means we're like sweating so much. In other words, it's another way of saying it's incredibly hot. I am sweating buckets. I am sweating buckets at the moment.
Mm.
I mean, it's more when you can see it coming down your face. My wife made me go running yesterday in the heat, and
Mm.
I really was sweating buckets. It was horrible.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny, isn't it? Because people are moaning about this hot weather we're having at the moment, but then in the winter, you see, people have been moaning about, oh, it's miserable outside. Oh, I wish it was summer and things like that. We're never
What?
happy. That's part of the
I
problem. But
I don't I don't so much.
yeah,
I am genuine. I'm not that hypocritical. I quite enjoy the well, of course, when it's cold, cold, and your hands feel like they're going to freeze off, then I just sort of stay indoors. But I I really do moan more about the heat than I do about the cold, and
okay.
I do think I genuinely do believe. But you're right. A lot of people do. Never satisfied, never happy. But genuinely, I think that the UK heat does hit different, as that sort of expression say. It does feel different. And first of all, I think you're right about the customization. We're not used to the heat. It is heating up. It's getting hotter. Um, but I do think it's getting hotter. We're not used to it. But also, key vocabulary, we have inadequate infrastructure for the heat. In other words, the infrastructure is all the buildings and the kind of the transport links and things like that. And if it's inadequate, it's not good enough.
Hmm.
So we're basically saying the buildings and everything isn't designed for heat. It's actually designed for cold.
Yes. No, I agree with that. We don't. I mean, a lot of buildings still don't have air conditioning, for
No.
example, because we're just not used to these high temperatures. Yeah.
But relatively, the heat is a short. It isn't a long period of time. It's not like 6 months. It's maybe a couple of weeks, a few months maximum. So we maybe don't need air conditioning because it wouldn't be needed all year round. So maybe
Yeah.
that's why. But a lot of our houses they have insulation, which is kind of designed to keep the heat, keep the house warm. To insulate the house means to protect it from kind of the elements, the cold. We also have windows with two sheets of glass called double glazed windows. We have insulation in the loft, in the walls sometimes. It is hot in the house. My house is ridiculous. How
Hmm.
hot is your house at the moment?
It's very warm. It's very warm. In fact, what I'm supposed to do is draw the curtains. Isn't that right? You draw the curtains so the sun can't come through the window. And if the air's warmer outside, you don't want that warm air inside. Therefore, you shouldn't even open the windows. You should draw the curtains, keep the windows shut. Therefore, it remains cooler inside than it is outside. That's the theory,
The
anyway.
theory.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, this may be the same sort of theory as, I mean, it makes sense. You stop the sun coming in.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like a sort of flow of air, an airflow through the
Hmm.
house may help as well. So I
Yeah.
tend to open all the windows, all the doors, everything. But quite often the wind will sort of whip through the house and it will cause the door to slam when it sort of
Yeah.
shuts
Yeah.
very quickly and it makes a huge noise.
Yeah.
Um, but the
I
house
agree.
is that, and that's not to mention the tube,
Hmm.
the London Underground. How is that in the summer?
Well, it's awful. Being polite about it, it's awful. Yeah, you're stuck underground on a train with hundreds of people squashed in. And again, some of those trains I understand still don't have air conditioning. They may have a window you can open to allow, as you say, some airflow, but some of them aren't even air conditioned. So you're stuck on this little trapped in this tube train underground, and the heat is
Yeah.
building. Yeah,
It is as well.
unbearable.
And I actually watched a video on this the other day. The reason it gets so hot is that they're actually built into clay.
Hmm.
A lot of the tube lines are built into clay, and the clay kind of absorbs the heat and it keeps it even hotter. So it's like an
Hmm.
oven. It's cooking. It's
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
cooking down there. It's insane the heat down there. If you come to London in the summer, please don't look at the numbers, things like this. If you come to England in general, carry a bottle of water with you. I
Mm,
always say, I mean, we often do now the temperature in Celsius. I always say add 10. If
mm,
it says it's 24, think 34.
yeah.
Because it does. I've lived in Brazil. You've been all over the world,
Mm,
and I think it's deceptive
yeah.
the number of degrees centigrade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, London has its own microclimate because of all those buildings. All the air kind of gets trapped in between the buildings, doesn't it? There's no kind of breeze blowing through like you have in the countryside. So yeah, London in particular, or big cities in general, heat up more than the countryside around, don't they? So particularly in
Yeah,
London, whew, it gets hot, and then yeah,
and
go underground, and it's even hotter.
it's like hell under there. I honestly think. I genuinely I in the summer, but then the buses are ridiculous as well because they're not air conditioned. A lot of them, and the windows are open. It's just packed. Packed means has a lot of people in it with people all
Mm,
sweating, all hot. Everybody gets a bit angry, a bit agitated, because yeah, it does hit different. So the other thing
yeah.
about buildings and things like this, we have a lot of glass sort of buildings, skyscrapers and things like this, which then reflect the heat, which is why London also that kind of prevents the wind from flowing and around the
Mm,
streets. So that also feels hotter
yeah.
because it's like
Yeah.
dead air. But we need to
Yeah.
talk as well about humidity.
Yeah. Definitely.
Humidity is like the kind of level of moisture in the air. It gets
Mm.
quite humid as well, quite often in the UK.
It does. It does. I think it's partly because of the effect of being near the sea, because we're obviously an island,
Yeah.
so we're surrounded by sea. That puts a bit of moisture in the air, doesn't it? What I
Mm.
also find is when we have these hot spells, period of hot weather like we're having at the moment, it starts off okay, and then the heat builds up, doesn't it? And as the heat builds, it becomes more humid, more
Yeah.
there's more moisture in the air, and we use words like clammy and sticky, don't we? Because
Yes.
our clothes get sticky
Stick
to us.
to
Yeah,
us and
yeah.
our skin gets a bit bleh. It's horrible. So we say, yeah, exactly. Clammy and sticky is this kind of moist feeling, this horrible feeling on our skin. You could say, oh, it feels really clammy today, or I feel clammy, or
Mm,
it's really sticky today, or I feel, it's a sticky heat. You're absolutely right. Apparently, a lot of the humidity comes from the south as well, on the
mhm.
winds. So yeah, and the problem with humidity, it becomes difficult to sweat. So actually, sweating is good because it's kind
Mm,
of letting the heat escape from us. But if we can't sweat, it's horrible.
yeah, yeah. No, it's the worst kind of heat, the humid heat. A dry
Yeah.
heat is one thing, but this humid heat, which we get here in the UK, it makes things, yeah, even more uncomfortable. I agree. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
quite tropical heat. It's not quite as bad as being in the middle of a forest, say.
No.
But of course, if you're in a rainforest, you might be on holiday or something. But when you're trying to
Yeah.
work and stuff in this humid heat, it's very unpleasant.
Yeah. And one other word we need to add to our list of 10 is close. So we
Mm,
say, oh, it feels really close today. It's like the temperature, the heat, the humidity, it's all very close to your body. Everything feels it again is this idea of being a humid, horrible kind of sticky heat. But if you say it feels really close, it feels really hot and it's difficult to kind of breathe.
yeah.
But we've talked about the kind of buildings, the infrastructure being inadequate for the heat, the insulated houses. We have hot houses, we have hot streets, hot trains, hot buses, um, things like that. And we're not used to it. But also the daylight, the hours of daylight. This is something we need to talk about as well.
Yeah, because I guess here in the UK and in the northern hemisphere, northern part of Europe, the summers mean long periods of daylight. We have long
Yeah,
days and short night times, don't we? Obviously, in the winter, it's the opposite, which means that because we got more daylight, we get more sunshine, more
yep.
heat. Doesn't get a chance to cool down at night time because the nights are short.
This is it. And I think we can talk about some kind of tips for people. Um, maybe not drinking a cup of tea. I love that you're drinking a cup of tea.
So British.
But it really is. I see these sort of videos all the time. Oh, it's boiling outside. There's another word: boiling, scorching, sweltering. And then they're drinking a cup of tea. Drink a cup of tea. Cool down. Keep calm and carry on. This kind of thing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I had a slushy the other day, an ice slushy. I felt much
Mm,
better.
mm,
But we need to talk about that daylight because in Brazil, the hours of daylight are pretty consistent. They're always around 6, 7 o'clock, and the sun starts to set. Sunset is when the sun goes down. Sunrise is in the morning when it goes up. And but in the UK, you're absolutely right. You get many, many more hours of darkness in the winter, which can be really difficult for a lot of people. But in the summer, you get these exceptionally long days. Some nights, 10 o'clock at night, it's still got day. You can still see
mm.
9, 10 o'clock at night. And you're right, the heat doesn't break,
No.
which is horrible.
Although I would argue that's probably the best time to be outside. Sort of 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night on a
Yeah.
hot day. The temperature's not quite so extreme, is it? And the sun's not quite so bright, no, not full in the sky. So it's quite a nice time to go for a walk, sit out in the garden, sit by the river. That's the best time of day during the summer, I think.
I would definitely say, in general, British people feel they seem happier during this
Mm,
period of time. When they maybe get a bit agitated when it's really hot, they get a bit
mm,
angry, but they generally seem quite happy during this period of time because yeah, you can sit outside, you can have a beer at 10 o'clock at night, and it's still warm enough to sit outside, and it's kind of a nice period. So the reason we're talking about this as well is quite often students they laugh, particularly countries that if they're from hotter countries, and they say, and we're complaining, say, "Oh my goodness, it's so hot," and they say, "How hot is it?" And we say 26, and they're like, "Pff, "In my country, it's 36," and I'm always like, "Yeah, but it feels different for the reasons that we're talking about: the longer day,
mm.
the infrastructure, the lack of a customization to it.
The
It
humidity.
does feel different."
Mm.
Yeah. But one thing we need to talk about, and students often mention, British men in particular taking their tops off in summer.
Not me.
No.
No. But I know what you mean. Yes, yes. A lot of men, maybe younger men,
Yeah.
like to strip off, show off their physique. Okay,
Yeah.
just wear
Or
a
their
pair of
beer
shorts,
guts.
or all their beer guts. Yeah, and then of course the embarrassing they don't put any sun cream on and they go bright red eventually, don't they? They're all
Yes. They look like
sunburnt.
lobsters.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you suddenly out of nowhere you see British men just like with topless. Topless
Yeah.
is the adjective there, to be
Yeah.
topless.
Yeah.
And it's on the beach, but it's also in the maybe the towns and the streets. Not
And
so
the
much
parks.
maybe in the city center. I
Hmm.
think it's not done so much in the. It would be look a bit out of place in the city center. You do still see it every now and then. But yeah, it seems quite common, and nobody really bats an eyelid, which means they don't really kind of bat an eyelid is when we're like bothered by something. So if you don't bat an
Hmm.
eyelid, which is more commonly used in the negative, they don't bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
They're not really noticing it.
No, no, doesn't. Yeah, exactly. I think again we're going back to this unusual heat that we're having. I think the problem with the Brits is we're not used to this heat, so we don't really know how to behave, how to react, and basically how to dress or what to wear. You know.
Yeah, you see some funny outfits.
Yeah,
You really do.
yeah.
But a couple pieces of vocabulary that we need to mention as well. We haven't quite mentioned a couple. Oppressive. God, it's
Mm,
oppressive. This is a way to complain about the level of heat. If it's oppressive, it's too much. Oh, it's
mm,
oppressive today. I like
yeah,
it hot, but not this hot. It's oppressive. It's a common saying, isn't it?
it is. It's almost like there's a weight on you, isn't it? A sort of pressure
Oh,
coming down
yeah.
because of this. It's hard to explain the weight of the heat. You know, it just
Yeah.
gets you down. And often when
Well,
it is
it's
oppressive, it leads to a thunderstorm or something. We used to have some thunderstorms then, don't we? That kind of
yes.
breaks the weather
Yeah.
a bit.
And we talk about, oh, finally the heat has broken.
Mm,
So things like this. And our houses are much more geared for this. I was thinking about we have central heating in the houses. But we don't have aircon. It's interesting. But officially, we often talk about heat waves. Now, British people use this quite casually, I think. They say,
Mm.
oh, it's a heat wave. It's a heat wave when it just feels hot for a few days. But there is an official definition for a heat wave, according to the Met Office, who talk about the weather. Uh, a heat wave is an extended period of hot weather. So it's going to be multiple days, three consecutive days. So 3 days in a row where the temperature reaches a daily maximum temperature, exceeds a heat wave temperature threshold. So, in other words, for 3 days or more, it needs to be over a certain level of heat. And it's different in different parts of the country. So, where I am on the Isle of Wight, 26 degrees is the heat wave temperature.
Yeah.
So, if it's 26 or more on the Isle of Wight for 3 days in a row, heat wave. But a lot of British people use this quite liberally. I think where you are, it's 27. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
slightly hotter for Kent.
Yeah.
But don't quote me on that.
No.
So
And it would be lower in Scotland, wouldn't it? Because Scotland never gets,
yes,
or rarely gets this hot. And again, it's all relative for the people. People up there, when it reaches like 20 degrees centigrade, they'll be saying, "Oh, och, it's hot up here." I can't do the Scottish accent, but
that was awful. For all the Scottish viewers who never watched this, Rob, you're going to go to
sorry.
Edinburgh and do a public apology.
Yeah. But it
But yeah,
is
no,
all
it's
it's all relative. It is all relative, depending on what you're used to, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it is, and yeah, 26 down here. 26 down here is hot. So 3 days running of 26 or more on the Isle of Wight would be a heat wave. 27 or more, so three
Mm.
consecutive days.
Yeah.
But British people use this quite sort of casually. I think they
Yeah.
say that, oh, it's a heat wave today if it's like 25 for
Mm.
2 days running. So
Yeah.
there is an official definition, and there's a way we use it.
Yeah, I think
A
it's fair to
couple of
say, Roy, that we are having more heat waves. I mean, it could be climate
yes,
change. There could be many reasons for it. We've already had, I think, 1 or 2 heat waves already this summer.
yeah, I think this is the
Um,
third.
yeah, there's a third one. So we're getting more of them. So the temperature is rising. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I would say definitely it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter.
Mm.
Other ways that we can describe it. There's lots of ways to talk about the heat. We can do. There's a lot we could say about this, but you could say it's like a furnace.
Mm.
It's like an oven. We often compare it to hot thing. Oh, it's like an oven out there. It's baking. That's another.
Mm.
It's roasting. A few other words
Mm.
as well. But you say it's like an oven, like a furnace when it's very, very hot. And one word that you can use in your IELTS as well is soar. Notice the spelling SOAR, to soar. If temperatures are soaring, and notice it's a verb, we don't say a soar. Verb. Temperatures soar, they're going incredibly high. You can also talk about a bird in the sky, soaring in the sky when it's very, very high. So you can say, woo, temperatures are soaring. In other words,
Mm.
they're going up and up and up.
Yeah.
So let's give a bit of advice. What advice would you give to people visiting the UK
Yeah.
to deal with this heat?
Well, you've already mentioned the water. Yeah, always take a bottle of
Yeah.
water with you. That's one important thing. I mean, you can buy them, of course, on the street, bottles of water, but go prepared, I think, with your own bottle of
Yeah.
water. Definitely. Take a hat, of course, keep the sun off you. Maybe get one of those little handheld fans. You do see people walking around with a little
Yeah.
handheld fan that you can turn on and keep yourself cool. Keep in the shade. If it gets too hot,
Yes.
you've got plenty of trees you can hide under, shelter under from the heat of the day, and watch
Yeah.
the weather forecast so you know what's happening. Because I say it's not boiling, sweltering like that every single day of the summer.
No.
It kind of goes in waves, doesn't it? We have this heat wave, then it'll cool down
Yeah.
a bit. It won't be so bad for a while.
And you used a couple of a good word there. Actually, I think we should explain the difference between shade and shadow. Shade is a general area of where the light isn't present. So it's like maybe the light of the sun is obscured by a building and or a bunch of buildings, and there is an area of shade out of the sun. Shadow is the distinct outline of something. So if I stand, the sun is there, my shadow will be there. It will be my outline
Mm.
of black. You can have the shadow of a building or the shadow of a person. So there's a slight difference there. It's a distinct outline. You can really tell what a shadow is. You can't really see what the shade represents, if you like. But lots of really, really good words. Yeah, stay hydrated is a key one. I would also say maybe avoid going into the sun between 12 and 3. Now, there's an old saying, isn't there? Only mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the midday sun because it's incredibly hot between 12 and 3. So stay out the heat then. Use sun cream. Use sunscreen. If, for example, you're pregnant, maybe really consider not using the tube and staying at home, especially during those hours. And yes, stay hydrated. And a key tip, Rob, if you go to tourist areas, they usually charge quite a lot for water.
Yeah.
But you could always go to a supermarket or and find it cheaper.
That's
the key thing.
I think pubs actually, many pubs now will fill your bottle up with water for free. You just have to ask, and they'll do it. There's usually a sticker on the window that says "Fill your bottle for free here" or something. You can.
Oh, that hasn't. I haven't seen that down here on the Isle of Wight, but that's what a time to be alive.
I'll tell you what I do.
Should.
On a hot day, though, the place I assume I'm not working. The place I head for is I always head for the seaside because I find there's a bit of a refreshing breeze coming off the sea often.
Can be,
and it's a nice place to be on a sunny day.
100%. And wear your sun cream, wear your your sunscreen, things like this. Don't end up like that British person, red, sunburnt like a lobster.
Spot the Brits.
But yeah, Brit abroad. We've done a podcast about that. If you do want to support this podcast and you're enjoying it, please do consider buying one of us a cup of tea. You can check out the link down below.
Or an ice cream. Or an ice cream on a hot day.
An ice cream would be lovely today, wouldn't it? Oh, it would be. I might go for that now. But from me today, I just want to say, Rob, thank you very much for joining me. It's been an absolutely lovely chat. And I'll see you in the next one.
You're very welcome. And just advice to our audience. It might be hot and sunny today, but we are in the UK, so I'm sure it will rain very soon. There will be rain soon.
Yeah, get a brolly. Get a brolly. Get an umbrella. Take care. See you soon.
Bye.